something's been bothering me about all of this stuff. I mean, we literally have state-sanctioned domestic terrorism by a paramilitary, heavily armed force in our cities, sent upon us by the federal government on orders by people like Stephen Miller on down. They claim this is about law and order, but it's so divorced from the law. I know it's a favorite topic of the right, so I'm going to use it. The thugs that are part of this are like neo-Confederate, Klansmen, Nazis, IDF supporters and collaborators. It's basically kind of like a Zionist operation. The language coming from the so-called law and order folks like Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan. Bovino is moved, but I don't think he's going anywhere. Like, they all sound like rapists. Like, they have put themselves upon our people like rapists. The people that defend them sound like rapists. They're just like, basically, just sit back and take it and you'll be fine. They act exactly like people who would defend what the Nazis did when they were rounding up all the different people. That was Jewish people, Romani, a whole mess of people. They went after communists and socialists. Like, it's really funny to me that right-wingers who know they're lying claim that the Nazis were on the left when they went after the real leftists. They went after socialists and communists. They went after workers who were united and recognized the threat of the capitalist class that has a tendency to ruin the country for the people, that just wants to control and dominate, just like rapists do. They rape and pillage. They act like they're above the law until they're held accountable. So what I want to know is this. Why is it that leadership, I mean, it's not, again, there are some state AGs that have said similar things, but I don't think they're going as far as I think they should go. Like, they're saying if I think in like Philadelphia, their state AG, I think it was like Krasner, if I remember correctly. No, that's somebody else. Sorry, I'm bad with names. He said if ICE better not think about coming and breaking the law and think they're going to get away with it. They'll arrest them. And others have done the same. Some people are basically saying, like, it's not going to be possible for these idiots to get a job anywhere anymore. Eric Swalwell, sometimes he gets things right. I'm skeptical about him because he was also part of funding the genocide and takes AIPAC donations, and I'm not interested in that. But he did say that he would, if he's elected governor, that he'll take ICE and I don't know if he said CBP, but he'll take these people's driver's licenses away. Again, I also don't think that goes far enough, to be honest. I think we've passed the point where it's necessary to do whatever we have to do to just start arresting ICE and CBP officers or agents, because they have acted above the law. And again, maybe this is a little bit sketchy, and honestly, I don't give a fuck. We're facing fascism. They are ramping things up. They're not pulling back. They don't want the rhetoric from the Democrats and other people that are speaking out, that they're trying to censor their speech by buying like TikTok and controlling other social media platforms. They're trying to limit our reach, and they've put a chokehold on mass media. And a lot of those guys were cowards anyway. The right thinks they have a monopoly on complaining about the media and how feckless they are. And the only real complaints that the right has is they don't like how when the media does tell the truth, that it makes the right look bad, because the right is bad. And again, I don't really want this to be a left-right issue. What I'm talking about when I talk about like the right, I'm talking about the protection of the capital class, the Epstein class. I'm talking about the the support, like co-sponsoring the status quo that is crushing us all, right? And I'm coming at it from a leftist perspective. That means that I want the people to have power. I want actual democracy. I want democracy in the workplace. I like the idea of having like more co-ops and similar models. I like to have stronger communities. I want people to be free from the oppression of any larger body, the state or the capital class. I don't want any of us to have a noose around our neck, a boot on our throat, that they can just take everything away at a moment's notice or just rig the rules. Like Donald Trump and this, class of other rapist Epstein class clowns that are trying to rig the system. You guys need to know what it is that they're trying to do. The short version is some of these folks, the billionaires, they want to have what they call technates. So let's just give you a quick example. So let's say they are manipulating everything, so they devalue everything, and they devalue the dollar, and they push us off the dollar because everything they've done jeopardizes the past forms of legitimacy that propped the United States up in the world as a whole. Now other countries are being forced to shift away from the dollar, to shift away from any reliance on the United States, and that downgrades our legitimacy, but it gives almost full control over these people that have been able to extract so much capital that now, through various forces, they can essentially buy enough important things out or have enough control over, our digital and financial lives, which means they are the gatekeepers of everything. So like, if they just, let's just say, because they stole a bunch of information, when Doge went in there, he stole a whole mess of information, like our social security data, a whole mess of stuff, and now it's all commingled, and some sketchy characters were part of that have like Russian ties, like that Big Balls kid. Look into that Big Balls kid. Essentially what they could do is say, you can get in and you can't. You want to get a house? Oh, sorry, like ideologically, I don't like you. You can't. Or we can just debank you. Like all these dipshits like Mark Andreessen pretending that billionaires or whoever were getting debanked. It's not true. It's actually the opposite. So it's a big thing. It's a big problem. But what they want to do is like basically like Elon Musk, let's just say, if this is what he wanted, they could take over like a big chunk, like multi-states in like the northwestern part of the United States, and then they rule over that with all their shit. That's what they want. They and that's what all this data collection is for. They're working with like Israel, a bunch of like Israel's software, and Palantir and like all this AI stuff, and that's what they're giving to ICE. Like that's what ICE is actually for. ICE is just, it's not about law enforcement. It's about a test case to remove undesirables, so they can try to scale it up. And while they're doing it, they're collecting information on the people that are protesting, so they get categorized as undesirables. They get categorized as domestic terrorists. So if the state still has power to do it, they're going to be using these detainment facilities as not only as work camps, like some of them are right now. They're going to be doing that stuff. So I have every fucking right to say, no, full stop, we need to stop this bullshit. And we need to defang these fascists. And I think if the governors around the United States of the blue states and the state AGs were serious, what they would be doing is saying, by all and any means necessary, these ICE agents, these CBP agents, must be declared enemies of the blue states, and they should be arrested, sight unseen. They are a threat. We are going to recognize them as a threat. They need to be arrested. They need to be jailed. And they need to be detained. Because they are hiding their identity, we don't know which ones have done the murders. We don't know which ones have been involved in deprivation of rights. The first assumption at this point is all of them have. If one of them has, all of them has. And it's just flipping the narrative back on the Trump regime. And if the threat is that, and also the organizing force is, if we need to have a force multiplier plan, we will do that. We will deputize our citizens, prioritizing people with, maybe military training, people that were past like military police, and what have you, or we'll train people up. We're going to have a local, well-regulated, armed militias to be roving where necessary, to be called up as force multipliers and arrest these agents, and they will be held indefinitely until this regime stands down, until this regime is impeached, because of all the crimes they have committed. There can be no continuation. Like, it's not reasonable for people to expect the citizens to just sit back and take the lawlessness. It's not enough to sit there and expect people to just go along and hope that their rights are going to be respected when they get to these detainment facilities. Because so far, what we have heard is if people's name is not known when they're getting taken, they disappear and they get shuffled around all over the place. And, you know, ICE and CBP are playing games. They're denying the entry of lawful, legal inspectors that are supposed to be able to show up unannounced. Now, Kristi Noem is trying to enforce some policy that they need to give them like a week. Like, no, fuck that. Fuck that. Our tax dollars are being used to potentially deprive people of their rights and torture them and maybe murder them. Like, we know there's evidence that somebody was most likely lynched. There's evidence somebody, some ICE agent was arrested because they were raping a woman for months, so she could, and in exchange to talk to her kid. Like, it's enough. Enough is enough already. These people need to be arrested. They need to be taken off the streets, and our police need to be willing and able, and also under threat. To be honest, like, listen, this is your job right now. You have to remove this threat from the streets. We will deputize our citizens. We will form organized, well-regulated militias. Like, either that or they'll do it themselves. We will back you up with deputized citizens. We will back you up with National Guard members. We have to get these people out. And if enough, and I don't think it would take that many, to be honest. Like, if this is the, if this becomes the plan, the threat of the plan might back these people off. Actually executing the plan might back people off, might make people reconsider joining ICE. Like, we need some kind of executive authority, emergency powers of state lawmakers and AGs to say, listen, that this is a threat. This is an existential threat. We cannot allow these people to continue terrorizing our citizens and just sit back and pretend that they're doing lawful enforcement. They're not. They haven't demonstrated it. They haven't, not remotely. And it's been a lie. Like, even if you take the premise that what they want to do is take the violent criminals and deport them, most of the time what they're asking for is the ones that have already been prosecuted, that are already in jail serving a sentence. And what, you're going to release them into another country? So you're gonna set them free? Or my suspicion is they want to free these people and then send them back out to attack blue states and cities. I think grabbing the violent ones is part of the plan, because they would want retribution, wouldn't they? They had their freedom taken away by the law. I think this is just a continuation of the inverted Department of Justice and this fascist KKK, Jim Crow era, Jim Crow 2.0 electric boogaloo bullshit. I think that's part of the plan. I don't think they have any intention on sending these people to another country. I don't think it has anything to do with law enforcement. I think Republicans' idea of the law is we get to use the law to abuse whoever the fuck we want and to get whatever the fuck we want. And we get to order you around. The order is what we say it is. That sounds like a rapist. That sounds like a fascist. That sounds like a narcissist to me. And I'm telling you this right now, the state lawmakers, the state governors better get their shit together, because if we have to continue to suffer these fucking fools that are going around grabbing people, and again, I'll remind you, how many of these guys have you seen that look like they're like Latinos or African American or Asian or whatever? How many of these people do you think were free people before this? How many of you think were Jan 6ers? How many of them do you think have been violent criminals already, have been convicted of raping people, have been convicted of pedophilia, of ephebophilia? My guess is ICE, like if we were to just arrest ICE, imprison ICE, and did a background check and like found out where these fuckers came from, I wonder how many of them were supposed to be serving sentences. How many of them were already supposed to be in the system and continue to be in the system that got freed for this purpose? You should never take what Republicans say at face value. You should always check into what it's actually about. Don't look at their words, look at their actions. Don't read a fucking bill's title and description for what it is based on what they say. Look into it and look what the effect of it would be. I have said for a long time, again, I have plenty of issues with the Democratic Party. I do not have any interest in their ties with AIPAC, their support of Israel, and that genocidal maniac political party, and then the brainwashed citizenry that has no commitment to human rights whatsoever, that is fully fine with ethnic cleansing and all kinds of horrific crimes. Like anybody who thinks it's okay to just kick people out of their homes, I'm going to have to go ahead and say, fuck you. Anybody who's willing to kidnap families, to shoot children, to do target practice on innocent fucking people, I have no interest. And those are the kinds of people that this government is working with. Those are the biggest fucking donors, and then have been, extracted promises and concessions from Donald J. Trump. Like the biggest criminals in the world right now are getting their shit that they want from this administration. And you're going to sit there and try to tell me that people like me are the bad guys? I'm not the one who is out there advocating for people to be kidnapped. I'm not the one who's arguing that people should have their families be separated unlawfully. I'm not the one who's saying that concentration camps are a good idea, as if we don't have history on that, on how that all plays out. I'm not remotely okay with people that think it's okay to violate and deprive people of their constitutional rights. That's on the right. That's everybody to my right, including a lot of the Democrats. Democrats and Republicans all. I think a lot of these people need to be fucking arrested. And I'm going to tell you this. People will not tolerate this shit. If it escalates, people will probably end up responding in kind. And there's no fucking version of this that these assholes get out of this. They will not survive it. Legally. I'm saying legally, but I think there will at some point be a whole lot of sacrifice for people to fight for their country and to overthrow these people. There is an absolute risk of revolt and rebellion because of what they're doing. That's sort of the point. And if we're not careful and we don't find ways to push back enough to get them to walk this back, my preference is that our lawmakers step the fuck up to do a de-escalation strategy that they may think is an escalation strategy. What should happen is they, maybe they have people that go in that get hired on with ICE and CBP. And maybe they work with civilians or people that are like private contractors for specific purposes that are a little bit gray. And they go find these people when they're off duty, and then they arrest them. Listen, we got to think outside the box. We have to do this peacefully. It's hard to do it when they're in the street, when they're armed with guns and all that shit. But something's got to happen. Like ICE and CBP and HSI, like these guys need to be taken off the street. They are violent criminal thugs. They are Klansmen. They are neo-Confederates. They are threats to the states. They are on a retribution campaign. This has nothing to do with justice in any form whatsoever. They're big mad that, like a lot of them, they got punished for Jan 6. A lot of them have been, socially ostracized because they should be socially ostracized. They think they're blaming everyone but themselves. They blame immigrants. They blame trans people. And, to be honest, like they should fucking look in the mirror, and their own actions are why they're in a shitty situation. And they're also like, their actions are, I would include their votes. They continue to vote for people that would never do anything to improve their material conditions. And then they have the the gall to sit there and complain about people like me who continuously advocate for the kinds of policies and programs that we don't really do in this country anymore, aside from like little bits here and there. Like, we have glimmers of hope in New York City with Mayor Mamdani. He's doing some shit, and he's got to deal with this fucking sabotage of Eric Adams and other Democrats. Like, it's funny that like people think like the blue states and cities are like some bastion of the left, when a lot of times that's not really the case. Like Albany is corrupt as fuck, and it's because of conservatives that want to flout the law and use their position of power to commit crimes. We already know that, and the people that would hold them accountable are part of the scheme. So they're just about as far left as you get in this country, which is not that far left. It's like center right. We could do a hell of a lot better in this country if we actually did things that address the material conditions of the people. So I don't want violence. I'm saying that right now. I'm saying we need to get the people that are violent criminal thugs off our streets. That's ICE, CBP. We need to get the violent criminal rapists, pedophiles out of office. That's in DC. That's the White House. That's Congress. Republicans have bothered me for a really long time, and now I understand it now. Now I have the language for it. To me, they sound like abusers. They sound like rapists. They sound like narcissistic, malignant narcissists. They're criminals. They are the biggest liars. They're nonstop liars. And they are violating the law. So like it's just ironic to me. The Darvo defense is one of the most frustrating fucking things we've had to experience. The gaslighting. Like, Darvo is distract, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Republicans always claim that they're the victims when they're constantly oppressing other people. They're constantly trying to disenfranchise people of their rights. So fuck that noise. It's bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. I'm not interested in what they have to say. I don't care. The narrative should be, why aren't you under arrest? Hey, Jim Jordan, whatever happened to that subpoena that you've been ignoring for 1,140 or 60 days? Congressional subpoena. How do you keep getting away with this shit? Why do you think it's remotely okay for you to be in Congress when you defended pedophiles? A known pedophile. Or a phebophile, whatever. Somebody who raped young men. We have mega fraudsters in the Republican Party. They had their leadership. Their leadership is made of a bunch of pedophiles and criminals. They are a criminal party that defends other high-powered criminals. And they're manipulated because people have dirt on them, and they could just go, maybe, I don't know. You're not really playing nice with this one. Maybe we'll order our attack dogs that we control to have some hearings, maybe. Like, honestly, like, we need to have an official policy in the United States that if we find out that there is blackmail against you and you have not stepped down, like basically like ethics rules, if we find out that there is blackmail on you and you have not stepped down, well, one, we are removing you from power, and two, we're going to make that a criminal offense. Because it is not okay to have people that can be blackmailed in office and subvert democracy just because they don't want their personal dirt out there. That's person over country. So fuck off. That's un-American. And if that's the case, if that's how AIPAC and maybe Russia and other countries are manipulating our lawmakers, we probably should do something about that, because obviously it's not in the interest of the people. Anyway, I'm going on. Listen, I love my people, and I want everybody to be in a better situation. I don't want violence. I want us all to come together. With the people, the left versus right argument is irrelevant at this point. I only try to communicate where I'm coming from, because I'm saying I'm on the left because I stand up for justice. I stand up for human rights. I stand up for people to have a right to like land, food, property, like shelter, healthcare, education, and I want people to be safe. I think it's ridiculous that we've allowed the very wealthy to control enough where they can just control our lives, where they get to be gatekeepers, and that's what's coming up. And the problem with being on the left is, the biggest problem is we're right too early. We're right before it's considered polite. Like, people don't like to be told things that they don't know, and they could probably know, and they get the sense that, like, God damn it, like, I don't like it when people seem like they're smarter than me or something, so I get offended. Versus the idea of, like, no, that's kind of a gift, dude. Like, it's kind of important for people to actually pay attention. Like, if the right didn't spend so much time being offended by the left, they'd be in a better spot. Sorry, I'm playing into the left versus right thing. And I'm not saying I have special knowledge. I'm saying I'm paying attention. And, like, the right detects threats. I sort through the fake threats and understand the real threats. That's all I'm saying there. So, take care of yourselves, pay attention, call your lawmakers, insist that the position right now should be, yes, we need to abolish ICE, but also we need to defang ICE. We need to disincentivize people to work for ICE. They need to know that they can be arrested right now. They can be considered illegal in the states that they come into. Because it's not really feasible to continue this, and if they continue to escalate, there's going to be more deaths. Like, I'm not remotely okay with people that get to execute our people in the streets, then lie about it, then defame our good American citizens that are standing up for people in their community, and then people lie about them and, victimize their family members and their friends and their community. Like, the damage that's being done is multiplying. That's terrorism. It's terrorism for a political purpose. That's what makes it terrorism. You're using violence of a lot of different forms. They're using economic terrorism. They are using political terrorism. They are doing cultural and ideological terrorism. They are rapists. They think just because there's things that they want to extract from these states, like, they don't want to, like, it seems like they think they can just escape accountability by trying to rig the next elections because they know they're not popular. Like, what did they say? What did Pam Bondi say? We'll leave the state, or we'll consider leaving the state if you turn over the voter rolls. So the places they got sent in, it seems like, I would venture a guess there's a high positive correlation with the states that ICE and CBP invaded, with that paramilitary force of psychopaths, violent psychopaths that are neo-Confederates, Nazis, Klansmen, with the states that refuse to turn over the voter rolls because they have every right to say no, because the federal government has no business having that. States run their own elections. Like, we should not have to face an invading army of people that are hurting our people and violating the laws of our states and violating people's rights just because Republicans are afraid of facing accountability because they are rapists. They are defending pedophiles, and many of them are criminals. Like, many of them should be in jail. Many Republicans in office should have been in jail a long time ago, for a very long time, and many of their base should be in jail. And I would argue probably all of their donors should be in jail. I think after this, they all should be in jail. That's what I think. I think the law backs me up on that. If we actually prosecuted the worst criminals in society, it'd be a lot of wealthy people in jail, because that's how they get wealth. They have enough power and influence where they can just do whatever the fuck they want. That doesn't mean it's legal. It just means they've been able to escape accountability. So, I don't know. Again, if you're on the right, like, listen, I want you to be safe. I want you to have a good, strong community. I think some of your ideas are hurting you because you've been led to believe things that are not true. Like, diversity is a bad thing somehow. Oh, fuck, I forgot. I need to go in there. But I gotta go. You guys be well. Don't accept the lies. Oh, don't forget, a lot of these right-wing influencers wanted to be actors, and they suck. They sucked so bad it didn't work out. So then they were able to get money from right-wing billionaires. They got groomed. They all got scripts, basically. They all have their talking points. And now they're bad actors on the world stage with millions of followers that believe nonsense. If you follow the right-wing influencers, you're being manipulated for a purpose, and it doesn't serve you. The sooner you realize that, the better. The people that you've been taught to think are your enemy, you should actually see as your greatest ally, because we are incredibly strong as a solid group of people that are working for a collective purpose. That is to usurp the people that are ravaging the world like a bunch of rapists, instead of freeing us from a lot of things that hold us back. And I want you to be free. I want you to have a fair society that is for all of us, not just for a wealthy few. If you feel like you're getting fucked over, I don't disagree. I think that's absolutely the case. It's just not the left that's doing that to you. It's not trans people that are doing that to you. It's not immigrants that are doing that to you. Like, let's think about this for a second. You know, how much would it cost to actually have like a universal healthcare system? Actually less than half of what we pay for healthcare now. How much would it cost to basically wipe out like hunger just in the United States? Probably about 1/100th of what we spend on ICE. Probably a lot less than that, actually. How much would it cost to house or have like good housing programs for everybody? I'm not sure about the number, but I'm fairly certain it's less money than we spend on ICE and our military. So just be thinking about these things. You know, how much would it be to give everybody UBI? Again, I'm not sure about the numbers, but I'm fairly certain if we wanted to do it, we would just do it. It's not relegated to taxes. It's just not. Like, we don't think about that when we're just going around and bombing countries, which also causes the mass migration. We don't think about it when we're funding the shit out of our military that is contributing a lot to climate change that affects all of us, also causing mass migration. We got all the money to cause problems, but we're choosing not to spend money on our people. We could wipe out homelessness. It's not that we don't have enough homes. It's just we have a greed problem. There's more empty homes than there are homeless people. So it's a policy choice problem. It's not that we don't have the money. Republicans just refuse to address anything because capitalism requires you and many of us to be poor, uneducated, disempowered, and blind and confused. If they can control you, they can convince you of anything, and they can convince you to do anything. That's ICE, that's CBP. They're going around breaking the law and destroying lives with our tax dollars. Every single one of those things is a crime. That's called a violation of the Emoluments Clause. You cannot use taxpayer dollars to go around and break the law and violate people's rights. You can't. So arrest them, impeach this entire regime, and I think it is definitely time to round up a lot of these lawmakers that we know have broken the law. Hell, I think we need to go after the DOJ. I think we have to go after the CIA. I think we have to go after the FBI. I think we have to probably, for the most part, dismantle the current government structure, and we have to come up with something else that serves all of us instead of a handful of rich people. That would be freedom. That would be us saying, this is what we want. Because if you're frustrated about us not getting the things that we need, and you argue that we don't have a democracy, I could see how you could make that argument, because the idea is we, the people, are supposed to be electing representatives that represent our needs and our needs, and they're supposed to be doing policy that serves us. If you say they haven't really been doing that, I agree with you. But that's the flaw at the moment. They're being allowed to do that. They're being allowed to serve Israel. They're being allowed to serve Russia right now. They're being allowed to basically mega serve China. That's treason. That's them being a traitor to America. That's a crime. So anybody that's doing that, anybody funding ICE, anybody funding CBP, anybody, working with Israel on this stuff. And again, like, you claim that Israel is an ally, but they're a foreign power anyway. They're using our taxpayer dollars to fund things that are hurting our Americans and to, like, re-engineering how our entire system works. They're using technology to effectively control us, and basically in a moment's notice they can just say, you don't have any more rights, you're done, you don't exist in society. They can make you disappear in the system. That just scares the shit out of you. It scares me. And I know I'm risking everything speaking up as a veteran, because, like, I still get benefits from the VA because I served my country. I'm supposed to. But if they just say, well, we're going to call you back up so we can, I don't know, send you somewhere you don't want to go, they could. They could say, you can't get benefits anymore. We can change your honorable, on my DD 214, we can say that, well, we're going to change your status from honorable discharge when you finish your 8-year contract to dishonorable and you don't get anything. So it's not that I'm not taking a risk. I am. They could come fucking find me at any time and take me to one of those concentration camps and make me disappear. I'm speaking out because I defend the Constitution. I defend human rights. I believe we're supposed to have rights, and I don't agree that they have a right to just take our rights away just because they say so. That's not the way this is supposed to go. We are supposed to have a collective society that serves one another. And we have to work together to make sure that's the case. I'm going to say this again. 2 things. Write these down. Whenever you're forgetting what this is supposed to be about, is everybody needs a reason why. So I'm going to give you one. I mean, some of you may believe it so much that you get a fucking tattoo or something. I might at some point, to be honest. 1, none of us are free unless we are all free. That's your reason. So what happens to one of us happens to all of us, or can happen to all of us. So if you're thinking, it's not happening to me, I don't care. That's a dangerous and deadly attitude. Number 2, none of us are alone when we all move as one. So that's your action plan. So I'm giving you a reason why, and I'm giving you a general philosophy of, we all move in the direction to free ourselves collectively. We are never alone in those pursuits. And I can give you a long list of things that you can do that are part of this collective action to resist against our oppressors, and to say, this all stops when enough of us say no more. And that could mean a lot of different things. And I'm not calling for violence. But these people will not step down on their own. They're not going to just wake up one day and go, well, I surrender. We need a mass pressure campaign. We need general strikes, but that takes planning, coordination. If you can, it's going to be a hard time to do it now, but principally, do whatever you can to form unions where you can. And that can mean a lot of different things. But unions are basically just, we have a group of people getting together to agree that the status quo is wrong. So usually we're talking about the workplace, but that can be a lot of different settings. Like if you don't like your town council, how that's operating, right? You can get together enough with people in your community and talk to them about the things that you're concerned about. And if you don't feel they're serving you, you can put pressure on them to change their behavior. If enough of you guys are loud enough, that'll change. And you can have elections, you can vote people out. Same thing with like the school boards. We have to reverse engineer how Republicans did this stuff. They understand the gears of how our system works. So at all different levels, they recognize that we have to take over these. We have to take over culture. We have to take over what happens in schools, what happens in the media, state legislatures. We have to control how elections can work. We have to take over state houses, and obviously, all the different pillars. They have the 7 pillars. Look that up. We can boycott, know what to boycott. That's the ones that donate to this regime, donate to Israel, do business with Israel. I think anything affiliated with Russia is probably not so great right now. We're siding with Russia, the aggressor, in the Ukraine conflict. When it serves us to help Ukraine, we could stop this war overnight. Well, not overnight, but change policy that would end it in a handful of months, probably. So we can stop spending so much resources there. I'll continue this, but get together in your communities. Get yourself educated on how to be good legal observers. Patrol what ICE is doing. Record for evidence. When they're in your neighborhoods, if you see anything that's remotely illegal, call 911. Understand how your local government sees ICE activity and CBP and how they plan to deal with it. And if you have concerns about that, honestly, the direction we should be going is arrest them. Arrest them. The second we see anything that we're concerned about, we should be calling for their arrests. Sight unseen. Stop the bleeding. Arrest ICE. Do de-escalation by disincentivizing ICE and CBP to operate. If they're going to be maskless thugs and they commit crimes, our assumption is we don't know which one of you did it. So we're going to arrest you. We're going to hold you until we can figure out what's going on. And by the way, we're going to ID you. We're going to publish, like, you lose the veil that you had. You lose your anonymity when we arrest your ass. Like, this one was found, you know, if you want to play political games, like, allegedly, we think this is the person that was committing this crime over here. And we're going to find out who you are, and we're going to publish you in a police blotter. And we're going to run this stuff in our local news. We're going to identify these criminal thugs that work with these neo-Confederates that have invaded our states. We could say, listen, we are not going to tolerate these unknown people coming into our states. We don't know who these are. They're coming in, they're armed, they're dangerous, they have committed crimes. Some of them may be part of really tragic human atrocities. They're not allowed in our states anymore. Just fucking ban them. Ban them. Send your representatives that actually have judicial warrants, and then we'll talk. Otherwise, get out. That's de-escalation. That's defanging this fascist regime. Claim emergency powers. Talk to judges. Test this legal theory. Like, here's what we have going on. Can we have some emergency powers to protect our citizens? It's time to be thinking outside the box, and it's also time to say, well, if they're not following the rules, we're going to operate in the gray areas that we have. We're going to do our best to follow the rules, but when you put us in a position where it is very difficult, like, we're not able to stop the worst of the harms because we're being forced to allow this to happen. Like, when people can be disappeared and their rights can be deprived, it's already too late once they take people. The risk is too great. So, like, basically, I'm looking at this like I look at situations where I'm dealing with this. Like, I work in schools. I've worked with people that have serious behavioral challenges. In my trainings, when it comes to basically escalating to getting hands-on, I have to look at the situation and I have to say, at a certain point, is the risk of me doing nothing more harmful than me doing something? Meaning, I may have to, you know, it could be somebody who is like aggressing towards someone else. We've reached the point where words are not enough. I have to get in their way or do whatever protocol that I have to do. And I might have to put my hands on that person to stop them from harming other people. And I'm looking at this stuff the same way. I'm looking at the situation as the state, the people that are authorized and have a duty of public safety. And if they're doing nothing, but the risk of them doing nothing is way more harmful than them doing something, they need to do something. So I'm saying the call should be arrest ICE, arrest CBP until we figure out who they are, if they actually have a reasonable purpose for being there based on what they're authorized to do, because they're armed criminal thugs. they need to be stopped. Judges have said they're doing things that are not allowed to do, and they do them anyway. Usually what we do with people like that is we arrest them and we lock them up. That's just the law. So I am actually taking a principled law and order position. I don't think ICE and CBP or the police or any state actor or federal actor is allowed to break the law and get away with it. I don't think citizens are allowed to break the law and get away with it. They certainly don't. We are very harsh on our people when they violate the law. I understand that to an extent, but I think it's fucked up that it's disproportionately way more harsh on black and brown people. That's a fact. They get worse sentences. And also, over 50% of the time when black and brown people are arrested, they are later found out to have not convicted, that like it was an unlawful conviction. So we deprive, literally, by the stats, by the record, by the summation of what we know, black and brown people get thrown in jail and brutally handled. At over 50% of the time, we got it wrong. Got it wrong. So that's deprivation of rights. So don't tell me we don't live in a racist country. You can't tell me we don't live in a racist country watching what's happening right now. It's the stupidest thing in the world that people are going to sit there and go, Republicans aren't racists. They're not supremacists. They're not bad people. Please.